Welcome in, everybody. My name is Ricky Ransom, and today we're going to be talking about runes and runewords in Diablo 2 Resurrected. So let's get to it.
Millie on the brain, never getting sleep.
The first thing that I kind of wanted to cover is just exactly what a rune is in this game. There's similar items in other games, but they might not work the same way. So let's kind of talk about what a rune is and what they offer throughout the game. So as you can see here, this is what a rune looks like in D2R. It's a small stone and it can drop from killing monsters, from opening chests, and basically from any loot source throughout the game. But the runes do follow a specific order, and there's 33 runes overall. The runes imbue items with specific attributes that can help your character out a lot, and that's why they're so useful. If we look at this website over here, also mind you, these websites, any of the websites I show will be linked down below in the description, so you guys can check them out as reference points. They're my favorite websites that I use, but there's a lot of different websites that offer similar information. This is just what I prefer. But as you can see here, we have the different runes, and the order that they follow kind of is based on minimum level requirement and rarity of the rune. So like you see the L rune here, which is the first rune, has a minimum level requirement of 11. And then the Zod rune up here has a minimum level requirement of 69. So the Zod rune is incredibly rare. It's hard to find throughout the game, whereas the L rune, you can find them everywhere. And that they kind of follow that same pattern from the beginning to the end. Runes do make a very specific sound when they drop in the game. So that's something that you always want to be keeping an eye out for, runes dropping. So I'll show you and we'll listen to the sound. Let's turn this up a little bit. So listen real close. That sound, hopefully you guys could hear that. But that's what a rune sounds like when it drops. So you always want to be keeping your eyes and ears open, because you can see the runes, they have orange text, so it makes them a little bit easier to see. But sometimes items stack in this game, and so you want to be listening and watching at all times, because sometimes I'll hear a rune and not see it and then go back and find one. So there's something that you just always want to be paying attention for, and they're very useful. But that leads us into why they're so useful, and the reason why a lot of runes are so useful is because of rune words. Rune words are essentially just a group of runes, like a set of runes put into an item in a very specific order. And it gives the item not only the benefits of the individual runes that you're putting into it, but also like bonus attributes on top of that. So as you can see, these runes have specific attributes that they offer if you just put them into any item. But like you can see, like weapons, armor, helms, shields. So the Tal rune, for example, gives plus poison damage or poison resist. The Thul rune gives plus cold damage plus or cold resist. The Ort rune gives plus lightning damage or lightning resist. And then the Am rune gives 7% life stolen per hit, but also attacker takes damage of 14 if you put it into armors, helms, and shields. The reason why I'm showing you guys these runes is because the rune word we're going to be talking about is Spirit. Spirit is one of the most useful and valuable rune words because it's not a very expensive rune word, but it offers a lot of benefits for almost every build in the game. They will be using Spirit at some point, and you can utilize it because it just offers so many benefits for any different situation. But as you can see, it's not only offering those attributes like the cold resistance, lightning resistance, poison resistance, and the attacker taking the damage, but it also is offering these bonus attributes like I was talking about before. The +2 to skills, the 30% faster cast rate, 55% faster hit recovery, vitality, mana, all these things that are super useful for your characters. So that's why this is such a popular rune word, and why it's so useful is because of all those items. But you do want to keep in mind that obviously when you imbue these items, they're gonna have a minimum level requirement, and it's usually based on the rarest rune that you're using. So the Am rune is gonna be the highest rune that we're using for this rune word. So the minimum level requirement on a lot of the items is gonna be 25, unless you put it into, like, let's say a Monarch shield, which already has a minimum level requirement of 54. So that means that it's not basing it on the rune itself, it's basing it on the item you're putting it into. But like I said earlier, one thing you always want to keep in mind, and this is why we're going to look at this other website, is that the runes have to go in a very specific order. Otherwise, they are not going to turn into the rune word. They're just going to give the item the attributes of the individual runes that you're putting into the item. So you can see here, this website is one of the other ones that I use as a reference point, because not only does it show you the order and which runes to use for specific rune words and the bonuses that it gives, but it also shows you the items that you can use this rune word in. That's another thing you always want to know, because, for instance, we're going to keep using the spirit as an example. Let's go down to the spirit real quick. Did we pass it? Here it is. So as far as weapons go, the spirit rune word will only work in swords. So you can't put it in axes, you can't put it in polearms, you can't put it in bows, so on and so forth. That's just something you need to keep in mind, and that's why it's good to always reference a website like this, or just any other website that has similar information, so that you're not accidentally putting valuable runes into an item that can't even turn into that rune word. Spirit can also work in shields, as you saw from my example earlier. You can put it in shields as well. So there are some that work in weapons and armor, or weapons and shields, or helms and shields. You get what I mean? Some of them do cross over, but that's why I like using this website, because it does put them in categories. This is all the weapon rune words, and then you go up and you see the shield rune words, and even if they, like spirit, there it works in a weapon and a shield, it shows them in both different categories. So that's something to just keep in mind. But overall, rune words are used throughout the entire game. There's a lot of builds that rely heavily on rune words in the end game to be the strongest version of that build. So there's something that you're going to be using throughout the whole game. Basically, from the time you're level like 15 on, rune words are going to be a big part for most builds. So just keep that in mind. But that's why they're so valuable. That's why you always want to be watching for runes and kind of have in the back of your mind rune words that you're building towards, so you can specifically keep an eye out for those runes. But hopefully I covered some of the basics for you guys of just what runes are and how the rune words work. If you guys have any other questions or anything you'd like to add, or anything you want me to cover in a future video, please leave it in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because it helps your boy, you know. But overall, I'm going to be covering in my next video where are my favorite places to farm for runes, and the best methods, and kind of the calculations behind it. I don't know how to explain it, but like the way that rune farming works. So I'll be covering that in my next video. But until then, thank you guys so much for checking out the video. If you guys want more live engaging interaction with myself and my community, I do stream 5 days a week over on Twitch, and I will leave my Twitch link in the comment below as well. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Peace.